Hey guys, what's up? I'm a bit tired. It's been a long day, so if I look like crap, that's why. Over the past few days, under people's videos, I've been, dealing and, sharing comments back and forth with some rather deluded individuals. Some a bit more deluded and effed up than the last. I'm pretty sure Dynamite Ruby knows what I'm talking about in that department, but even under my videos, I've lately had to deal with some, religious people who feel compelled to argue their point, which is to be expected, at least with the videos I've been coming out with lately. But they don't seem to realize that it gets tiring after a while. And it's not that it gets tiring, defending our position, because quite frankly, it's gotten easier these past few days to defend our position. What's tiring is that we're dealing with the same arguments and statements over and over and over again. And I'm using the term arguments loosely, by the way, because they're not really well thought out at all, as much as they think they are. They think they're clever and special, but they're not. It's old hat. And it's not very good old hat at that. So I figured, you know what? I think it's about time I put out a video where I start to talk about some of the arguments that people present and why they don't work against people who actually think, about matters like these. Actually sit down and think them through, rather than just blindly believing something. The type of tactics that don't work against people who, when they hear something, one of the first things they do is research what they hear. Now, like I said, some people have been more deluded and more of a jackass than others. There's a particular guy who's been on my videos lately, well, not on my videos, but leaving comments under my videos. He seems a nice enough guy. I'm guessing he seems a nice enough guy simply because of how he's been presenting himself. I mean, of course, we don't really know what the guy's like, but I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. But it's still deluded. Still has some major flaws in his logic, despite the fact that he thinks it's the other way around. And that's what's kind of sad about this. Now, I'm not going to mention names, because I really don't want to put him on the spot. I mean, however, it shouldn't be too hard to figure out who it is, but still, just for his sake, I won't call his name out. But, dude, if you're watching this, and I'm pretty sure you are because you've been consistently on my videos of late, you really need to understand that your tactics, your statements, the arguments you're presenting forth, really don't hold much water. I know you think they do. I know you feel in your heart and your brain that you are completely right. But you got nothing to back up everything that you're saying. And myself and many other people have not only showed the holes in your logic, but it come up with more concrete evidence of our side, being more logical than yours, and you won't even acknowledge it. That's how far off in the la la land you are. I really don't have time in one YouTube length video to go into everything, but let me just show you, and hopefully this will help you to understand why we're not buying what you're selling. Your problem is that your arguments are the typical Christian type of argument, where it's not really an argument at all. It's just a bunch of clever statements designed for the gotcha effect, or the aha! I bet you didn't think about this, aha! The problem is, you throw out these clever statements, or, well, you think are clever statements, but you don't think them through. You don't think them out to their logical conclusion before you put them out there. You don't actually put out a well-researched argument. And I'll show you what I mean by using some of the things that you put in comments on here. I'll just give them back to you and then show you what happens when you think them through. One that sticks out of my mind is, under another video, an older video, you had put out a statement stating that, when you were trying to show the proof that there had to be a God, you stated, well, what about the Native Americans who were just over here? They just showed up over here. They were isolated from everybody else. And yet, despite the fact that they're isolated from everybody else and they just popped up in this land and not, in I guess the Middle East or something, they still had a concept of some type of god to worship. They had their statues or their paintings of deities or whatever, and you're like, oh, how do you account for that? Well, one, you make it sound like Native Americans just popped out of holes in the ground in, North America. Have you forgotten about the Bering Strait, and how they crossed over during the Ice Age? It's not like they were completely isolated from humanity in the beginning. Remember, we all know that humanity came from one spot in the beginning and they branched out. And their culture that they ended up fully developing here came from somewhere else. It didn't just, pop out of nowhere in the middle of North America. And it's not like they just jumped out into existence in the middle of North America. They came from somewhere else. And using your concept, they must have had to dream about, how they have this God concept in their head. This is universal, but it doesn't necessarily point to the belief in a God. And it actually wrecks your particular God beliefs, because you believe that there's only one God, obviously, since you're a Christian. And you also believe, since you use the Bible to support your views, that God's 10 Commandments are the ultimate law. And he states, very first law, I am the Lord thy God, thou shalt not have any other gods, before me. So if you're trying to convince me that God purposely put the God, concept in everybody's heads when he created them, then why do we have so many different deities throughout the world? Why is it that and remember, he's a jealous God. He doesn't like this crap. But for thousands of years, he allows the Native Americans and many other cultures around the world to develop different concepts of God. Their religions and their deities are vastly different from what you believe. Well, then again, I could go to prove how your views of Christianity are vastly different from the way it was back in the ancient times, but I don't even want to go there right now. It's different. It's just like, it's a different concept of God, and your God, supposedly, your perfect God, who doesn't like hearing about other gods and other blasphemies, allowed them to do this for thousands of years. Why didn't he just give them the truth in the very beginning? See what I mean by you don't think things through? Another problem with you coming up with your so-called superior arguments is how you show vast ignorance of reality and of the concepts that you rely on every day. You loved putting up comments where you put things like theories and proofs and quotes, like you would typically put, oh, you guys believe in your proofs and your theories, but I believe in God. I know the truth and you don't. You have any idea how stupid that sounds to somebody with a rational mind? Because what you're basically saying in essence is the people who rely on research and testing and verifying their facts are more stupid than somebody who just blindly accepts anything that's given to them just because somebody says it's true. It's like, let's say we were both out in the market to buy a TV. Because I am the type of person who would rather go to Consumer Reports and look online and cross-reference different TVs and their different prices to find out which is the best value for my money. You tell me I'm stupid because I didn't just go to the store and just take the store's owner's word at face value that this TV is the best. Yeah, it may cost thousands more than that one, but that means it's the best, right? I mean, seriously, this is the type of thinking that you want us to follow for spiritual matters. You want us to basically forego actual scientific process, thinking things through, testing things out, seeing if they are true, testing their validity. This is something we do every day. But when it comes to religious matters, blindly believing something is the more virtuous way to go. Does it make any sense to you, dude? I mean, honestly, this is what you're trying to sell us here? That may work for the feeble-minded, but it's not going to work for somebody who actually thinks. There are many more points, but I'm running out of time, and I want to go to one of the biggest telling points that you're still very delusional. It's the whole plug your fingers in your ears defense. You did, in one of your comments, state that everything you're telling is just making my faith stronger. I was prepared for this. That's another way of saying I understand that I have nothing to counter your arguments. I understand that what I'm saying is not logical and I got nothing to counter you. So I'm just going to pretend that what you're saying isn't true. I'm just going to hold on to the belief no matter how stupid it sounds. You don't seem to realize that's accepting defeat, and that's pretty much your white flag in the air. That's pretty much a I have lost sign. Because if you got nothing to counter logic, your arguments are invalid. If you've got nothing to counter what the other person is saying, you have no leg to stand on. If all you can say is, I'm still going to believe no matter what, without proof, what are you doing here making arguments? I'm going to have to say this as nicely as I possibly can, dude. Put up or shut up.